Okay. Okay. Well, the cool thing about being live or whatever is on YouTube or wherever they join, we can actually see the comments and the questions and stuff. So there may be some random, interesting comments that or questions that come as we go from people watching. So that's always cool to get the interaction, interaction like that. So
I do like that part about being live. Yeah.
Yeah.
mm.
Sadly, half of them are semi inappropriate, so we have to weed through that part. But
Hey,
we'll
all
deal with
good
it.
here.
All right. You can't control your fans, right?
No.
Both of ours are insanely
They're
inappropriate.
wild.
Right.
But
It was Texas, it was Tennessee. Howdy, folks. You have arrived at the Texas to Tennessee podcast. My name is Steve. Up above, that's Soul Gravy. And happy April Fool's Day. Also, it's not a joke, but Colby Acuff
that's
is
right.
joining us today. So, welcome, Colby. We're super excited to have you on.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll try to keep you entertained here for the next hour. Um, Thanks to everybody on YouTube for being here. We appreciate you watching and following along with the artists that we have on. If you're on Facebook, we appreciate y'all too. But Colby, maybe to get started, could you just take a few minutes and give us a little bit of your backstory, and then we'll get into some questions.
Yeah, of course. So, once again, my name is Colby Acuff. I grew up and was born and raised in northern Idaho. It's where I'm from originally. Um, and yeah, I grew up pretty much just being outside, playing a lot of guitar. Music's always kind of been a part of my life. And after college, I became a fly fishing guide. And on the weekends, we were a honky-tonk band, going playing those 3 4 hour sets. And started writing songs and started putting stuff out and kind of started catching on. And man, I don't even know how you get here, but some way or another, you end up kind of following the path. So I left guiding behind and kind of, as Sturgill says, I chased that long white line and, started playing shows. And here we are.
Very cool. Well, that makes just off the bat, that makes for some pretty long days if you're guiding and playing shows at night.
I had 5 jobs until I was 25.
Okay,
So I was always
you're used
busy.
to it. Yeah.
I was hustling. I was, shit, I was trying to make money. And everything I was doing wasn't paying very well.
Funny how that works, right?
Oh, yeah.
The things you like to do don't pay as well as the other, right?
Right.
So
Well, I'm just smart enough to where every hobby I've ever had has been a career for me.
that's
There you go.
that's
Um,
great.
well,
Well,
sometimes,
I understand.
but
I understand.
the way that my brain works, I get so down the rabbit hole of things, I can't think about not doing that for a day. So whether it's music or fly fishing or duck hunting, I mean, all these things I've, thought or jumped in straight into, that being my job. And I never thought twice about it or looked back.
Alrighty. All right. This is the part of the show where I get to quiz our friend Soul
Mhm.
Gravy. We like to call this "Why Are They Famous?" And the location for "Why Are They Famous" today is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Coeur
I,
d'Alene
I
is
knew Idaho, but that's as
well.
much. Okay.
Yeah, it could be tricky.
Uh huh.
This has been the Idaho section, actually, of the Texas to Tennessee podcast because I think our last guest was from Stanley. So, as a reference, Mickey's about 7.5 hours, I think, south, straight south. So,
Yeah.
if you go to the tip of Idaho,
Okay.
that's where Coeur d'Alene is. Not
Gotcha.
too terribly. Spokane be the closest airport, big
hmm
airport? Okay.
30 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. So, not too far from there.
Gotcha.
Um, Population 55,000 approximately. I've actually been to Coeur d'Alene, stayed at that fancy resort hotel with the floating golf course for a day.
Yep.
Pretty cool. I'll tell you about it later, Soul Gravy. Anyway,
Right.
all right, here are the folks. We're going to start you off. This is not a great sign. We're going to start you off semi-difficult.
Okay.
Brock Osweiler.
Um, Man, that name sounds extremely familiar, but it's a sports person, right?
It is a sports person.
All right. Man, why do I not? I'm thinking baseball, but I could be completely wrong.
Well,
So,
there is a ball. It's football.
okay.
He's a quarterback.
That's
I want to say he
that's
played
right.
for Denver, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe back up a little bit. Maybe
Go
started.
Chiefs.
I don't know. But yeah,
Okay.
shout out to Brock. He's from Coeur d'Alene. Luke Ridnour.
Yeah, yeah, he's a basketball player.
There you go. I should
I
have
got that
started you
one.
with that one. All right. Yeah.
Mm.
Played for
The,
the T Wolves, I think. Does that sound right? Maybe.
mm, I think a few people.
Yeah, probably so. All right, this one gets a little trickier. Tracy Hansen.
Not the Mbop, I'm guessing. No.
They're from Tulsa, actually. Believe it or not, Hansen.
No, I'm not
No,
familiar. I don't think.
she was a professional golfer. She's retired, but she played on the LPGA for about 15 years.
Okay.
Shout out to Tracy. Rocky Bridges.
I don't think I'm going to get any more of these.
We're
But
heavy on the sports tonight, which says a lot about Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know I'm not familiar with Rocky's work.
Rocky played for 7 different teams in Major League Baseball
Okay.
for 11 years, so he moved around a bit. But he was the third baseman. 2 more. Robert Kitch.
No, I don't think so.
This is
Oh,
tougher.
uh,
Mr. Kitch founded C-SPAN,
okay.
so shout
All
out
right.
to C-SPAN. Lastly, Barbara Hoyt. This one you might get.
I don't think so. I
Okay,
don't
maybe
think
not.
so.
It's been a rough go for Soul Gravy today.
Yeah. That's-
Barbara Hoyt was a member of the Manson family.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So
No, I wasn't familiar with that.
there's
No,
always
but
one in the group that ends up going sideways. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I would have gotten half of those.
Okay,
well,
well
good.
that should make you feel better, Soul Gravy. I wouldn't
Well,
have gotten any of. Well, I would have gotten some of the sports ones, but yeah, that was all done in.
I understand that's the negative about doing these at 8 o'clock at night is after working and everything, and just because you think you know it or whatever,
Right.
you can trick
This sounds
yourself. So
familiar. Right.
exactly.
All right. Well, Soul Gravy, thanks. We'll hope for. I'll give you a clue. Tomorrow, Kenny is from Baltimore, so we should have some names you might recognize.
Yeah.
Tune in tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Kenny and the Cowboy Killer should be fun. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Colby, this is the weirdest question we'll ask, I think, and then it'll get more traditional from there. We call this one the pie question. We're going to give you a musical pie. We want you to divide it up into 4 sections. The 4 sections are songwriting, recording, performing, and then everything else that doesn't fit into one of those 3 sections, which is running your own music business.
Right.
Where do you, out of those 4 pieces, I'm sure you're great at all of them, but where do you kind of gravitate?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's funny you say it that way because I do feel like I have 4 hats I have to wear. And that is kind of true. I'd say I've worked really, really hard at songwriting and the business aspect of it. Those are probably the 2 things that I've spent the most time on, and like really pushed myself to get better and better at. I'm really proud of myself though that like our live show is really fun, and I like being a front man. I'm an entertainer, I'd say, but my band is really good, and that helps a lot. I'm not really a great guitar player, and so I'm like, I'll just have a great band, and I can sing and I can write, and that's kind of my thing. And so the most fun stuff for me is more or less the writing and the performing.
Okay.
The recording side of it, like for me, I always say like the best a song ever is right when I get done writing it, and it's just mine. No one
Right.
knows about it. And the second best it is right after we cut it, and it's just usually me and my producer, in the room listening to it. And that's those are the only 2 times where that song is, ever mine and maybe shared with one other person or like a person I wrote it with or something to that effect. But I'd say those two is like a majority of the pie: the business, the songwriting,
Yep.
and then probably the show, and then recording.
Right. So is the show for you, does that feel kind of like the reward?
Yeah, I
Okay.
always say I play the show for free. I get paid for everything else.
Right. Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's just do a quick dig into the creation or the songwriting part of it. Um, I asked this because everybody's got a different process. What does yours look like?
I mean, I would say my relationship with songwriting is manic. It's I mean, I'll go like sometimes I'll go 8 months without writing a song, and then I'll write 40 songs in 30 days. And
Wow.
so
Okay.
I kind of always say like I don't want to force a song to come out. I don't really like if I'm not in a songwriting mood. Like when we're in the dead of tour, and it's July and August, and we've been going since January, February. There might be some great ideas, and there might be some great emotion to put into a bottle for later. But I'm not. My brain is not in a place to wordsmith or sit there and pull a melody out. Especially when you've been singing the same 50 some odd songs every night for the last 8 months. Your melodies are just going to be very similar. So I try to get myself to a point where I can finally start calming down, kind of taking in the whole year. Like right around November, I'd say October, November, I start putting pen to paper, and it always has seemed to be the time that I write the most.
Uh, would you say, so once we get to October, November, are you structured, sit down, hey, I'm going to do this, or are you just have kind of opened your, um, I don't know, not your brain, but opened up to kind of receive the songs and get them off your chest, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I usually will. It's usually around that time. I don't really know how to describe this, but like when the road just takes from you.
Yeah.
Because all you do is give. You're out there every night. You give 150%. You get 3 hours of sleep. You got to do it again. You got to do it again. You got to do it again.
Right.
So by the time you're off the road for a break, I mean, we don't tour from Thanksgiving till try to get to February.
Okay.
Try to take the winter off, give everyone a break, give me time to write and do a
Right.
record typically. Um, and so when I get to there, I don't mean it in a bad way, but I feel it's a very strange feeling. I feel like I got nothing left, in the tank. And it's not just running on zero, it's like running on negative 1,000. And so there's a real kind of vulnerability when you're feeling like that. And it's not like I don't know, it's not like a bad feeling, like I said. It's just like this, okay, it's time to
Wait.
go through the year and let's like absorb everything that's happened. And let's, get ready to kind of look at what next year might look like and so on. And then I go look at my idea list and I go look at my songwriting book and in my phone and all the ideas and stuff I had written down for the year. And that's when I really started saying like, oh, this is exactly like this line right here is exactly the way that this felt. So then I start, kind of putting lines with emotions, pick up a guitar and start singing. I mean, that's like literally the only way I know how to write a song is start playing and start singing until something sounds really good. Write it down. There's your song. Go from there.
Nice. Okay. Um, just because I don't know I guess I'm kind of, my brain's a little bit linear.
Yeah.
When did the transition to Nashville occur for you?
Uh, Sorry, I'm plugging in my phone really quick.
Oh, you're good. Take your time.
That would have been. So I had come out with If I Were the Devil, and I'd come out with, I think my first record, my second record, and even my third record were out, I believe. And we were still, we were still like, venues wouldn't let us sell tickets.
Oh,
We weren't, I was self-managed, self-booked,
so in Idaho, you were just playing long cover gigs essentially, or?
man, we played this one roadhouse and we had to play 8 hours a weekend, 4 hours a night.
Uh,
And he sold tickets to the door and kept all the bar. and the cap space was $750. And we put $750 in there every night, and he paid us $1,500 for the entire weekend, no tips, no original music.
Oh man, that's got
And
to
I'm
be
sitting
soul
there, I'm like,
crushing.
shit, dude, I got a record that has 30 million spins, and it just came out in February,
Right.
and this is July, and I'm we're in a way we're going somewhere, but I'm like, we're going nowhere because I'm here. And so essentially, ended up getting a call one day, and it was like, hey, I'm so and so with so and so record company, and we want to give you a record deal. I'm flying out to see your show tomorrow night. And I was just like, thank God, because I wasn't gonna be able to keep doing it for much longer if that was gonna be the thing. But yeah, so I ended up getting a record deal, which then kind of put me, kind of a long story, but I ended up meeting my manager right when I needed all this. I didn't even know it. I kind of had a phone call with him because I really wanted to be with him in that company.
Yep.
And I ended up having an intro phone call with him, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I don't really know what's going on, but this is going well, and like I need this." And the next day was when I got the phone call from the record label. So I call him, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I know that you just met me over a phone call, and you don't know me from Adam,
Right.
but like, I don't have a lawyer. I need. Would you help me out?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course I'll help you out." And then ended up being my manager. So it's kind of
Gotcha.
once
Okay.
that happened. That was in July. I cut Western White Pines in November, and I moved to town in January.
Okay. All right.
So.
Wow. Things happened pretty quick there. Once
Very
they
fast.
actually got rolling, right?
It was very fast, yeah.
All right. Cool.
So instead of Texas to Tennessee, we got Idaho to Tennessee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Well, I know the cover gig thing wasn't going to be long term for you, but I am curious. When I listen to your music, and then you start talking about playing the cover gigs, I want to know what some songs that was on the 4 hour Colby bar gig set
Boy,
list.
there was a lot. There was a lot. So this is actually a pretty fun thing we used to do. I just hated set lists. I hated set lists for cover gigs because I was like, they don't even care. They're just like, the more you drink, the better we sound. Like, here we go.
That's
So
100%
I wasn't gonna
true.
write out a 4 hour set list. That seemed like a giant waste of time for me.
Just to have somebody yell another song at you.
Yeah, so we just had what do we have? I think 2.5 or 3 decks of cards that we just put on the stage and stacked on top of each other. And on every card there was just a song. So we just pull a card and be like, okay, Toby Keith, I love this bar. Great. Okay, kick it. And then like, oh hey, here's Sturgill. You can have the crown, or hey, we're gonna play Feathered Indians now, or White House Road. All those classic cover songs. Driving My Life Away. People would come up and ask for songs. I mean, that was right around the time period too, where like Feathered Indians was really popular, and I mean, at least 50 times a night, someone's gonna ask for Tennessee whiskey, so we'd play that, which is such a crime to have me try to sing like Chris Stapleton. Just like, man,
A lot of people don't understand that part. They love the song, but they don't understand what they're doing to the artist to try to.
But it's just,
yeah,
I've heard it a lot.
And you're just gonna get my version of it. But you know what? It's really funny. This is how I think about the live show as well, where when people go watch a cover band, they really don't want to hear the exact thing. They want to hear your take on it, but they want it to be familiar, right?
Right.
If you want to really set yourself aside and different, you do it differently. So that they're like, oh, I love this version. I'm going to come back and watch these guys again, even though we're just a cover band. It's like the way that you sell tickets as a cover band in a way,
To have somewhat of an identity, even as a cover band.
Right. And so even with like the original music, we go cut a record. Well, when we go to, play it live, there is something to like, well, we don't try to play anything just like the record. Not that it's way different. I mean, you're going to know what it is if you listen to it all the time. But the live audience is there, they listen to the music, they want to go watch your show, and they want to be entertained, and they want to hear these songs live. They have to be, your live show oh my gosh, take on the song, let's just go with that, is one where it's got to be just enough different to where they really want to come back and hear that live version again. But it's also got to be, close enough to the recording that they know what the hell's going on when you start playing it,
Right. I'm sure that makes it fun, but that goes back to we hear artists talk about it quite a bit as far as studio time being a snapshot, and
Yeah.
then then you get to live with the song, and then you put it with your band and in front of an audience, and how it changes a little bit over time.
Yeah. And once again, like, the song was only ever mine for a very short period.
That makes sense. The way you describe that yeah, that makes complete sense. Once you put it out there, you're sharing your baby with the world.
Oh, and I don't even, once you release it, you don't own it. I don't care how much you love it. Like, you release it, they own it, man. And they're going to decide, what they want to listen to and kind of what that song's going to end up meaning to you. There's for a long, this, like, when I wrote If I Were the Devil, I was like, I'm not going to put this out. Are you kidding me? Just because it was, and I went and played it at a songwriter round in my hometown. I played it, and the guy next to me was like, "You're gonna put that out, right?" I was like, "Oh, maybe I should. I don't know."
We're not sponsored yet, but somebody asked in the chat what I'm crushing. I'm crushing Waterloos. So there you go.
I got LaCroix.
Man, you're fancy. All right. So
I got a Waterloo in the fridge, though.
okay, same
Yeah.
team. All right.
I got
very cool.
apple cider, so I'm not fancy. I'm just trying to breathe.
Fair enough. You got to play some pretty big shows this last year in terms of who you're playing with. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? Because you played some big venues.
Yeah, I mean, at the time when I got the phone call to open for Luke Combs, we were playing a show in Denver. We were playing a basement show. Cap was 100. And we might have sold 86 tickets that night.
That's like a B. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I get a phone call, and he's like, hey, I want you to come out and play these stadiums with us. And I was like, stadiums, like plural? It's like, yeah, I want you on all 13 shows when we go out and play. And you're gonna be joining, the cast that's going out here. Man, some of those venues, it's like, I don't care. Like, my career could be massively bigger than I ever thought it was, and I'll never play some of those venues ever again.
Well,
Like, we played
but
Penn State. Penn State is the 4th largest stadium on the planet.
it's like 80-some thousand, right? Or
He sold
more.
83,000 tickets in one night, and there was only 3 shows ever in Penn State, and he's one of them.
Wow.
It's like, whoa, man.
And I've heard, well, not to put words in your mouth, but I've heard that like there isn't anybody better to go open for than him. Like their whole team is the best. Is that not to put you on the spot, but is that the
No,
case?
I have no problem talking well on those guys.
Yeah.
We were the only group in a van. We were the only group that was also busy playing, 110 shows that year and trying to, playing in Charlotte, North Carolina, getting off the stage in the van, driving to Buffalo, New York overnight, playing, like, making 10 a.m. load in. And, sometimes we were late, and sometimes we had X, Y, and Z. We needed help. We were not ready to go play stadiums. We had to kind of invest in all the equipment and get back, upgrade a little bit to get in. And anything we ever needed, anybody on his team was there. And I just, I remember one time I was telling him, I was like, hey, Luke, I appreciate you having us here. And I don't mean to say this in the wrong way, but, like, why did you pick us? Like, why are we here? It just seems it was so different than anything else on that bill. It was so different than, anything that I thought we'd ever do. And, Luke was just like, man, because I like your music. I like you. Like, you deserve to be here. I think you should be here. So that's why you're here.
That's
I was
awesome.
like,
He seems
Okay.
to do that quite a bit with as far as some of the folks he chooses to take out with. I've seen him. I'm pretty sure Brent Cobb and
Oh yeah.
several folks have been out like that, which is great to see
Yeah.
that.
Shout out to Luke.
He's the nicest guy. And I kind of always said this, you know, I don't care how anybody makes it. However you get to where you got to be to like when you're doing the thing, whatever, man. I don't really care because I know exactly what it's like to be, scraping on the bottom trying to get things going. But when you get there, it's what you do when you get there. What are you going to do now that you got the reins? You did it. You got to the top. You did whatever. What are you going to do now? And that's really just comes down to being a good person or not. And that's really all I care about anymore these days,
Colby, being in Nashville, did that numb you to the, I don't know, kind of situation where you're sitting around and there's a guy over there that you call Luke? I mean, did you ever to kind of pinch yourself a little bit and be like, whoa, this is kind of wild? Or does being in Nashville, like everybody's, amazing musician, ridiculous songwriters, huge bands, did that like ever
No,
impact you?
dude, no. It's crazy. I'm never going to be that person that's like, oh, this is all so normal because it's not. And I
Right.
don't like,
Doesn't seem normal from the outside.
no, not at all. Like it was really, when Luke opened his bar downtown, my mom was in town and I got invited, but I had +2, not +1. So I was like, I'm not going to go. And then like, no, we'll put your mom on the list and blah, blah. So anyway, we go in there and like, I mean, just the people that were in there, and I'm
Insane.
like, oh my God, like this is crazy. But I'm definitely always that guy that's like, I don't deserve to be here. That's always kind of my mentality, especially
Everybody
because one
feels
day
that
I
way,
was just
probably.
literally living out of my car, being a fly fishing guide, and then the next day I'm like doing that. So it just,
Yep.
you know, it never feels normal for me, but it's always fun, and I really appreciate anybody, once again, who is kind and like, because I think even he sometimes is like, whoa, this is crazy,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause, I mean, he wasn't really overnight or anything like that either.
No.
He had
Nobody
a
is, but I mean, there
yeah.
are a few people on TikTok that are, but for the most part, nobody's
Right.
Yeah.
overnight. It's just the idea that they are.
Yeah.
Before we get to halftime, just a quick shout out to Walker, who's on your team. We a little bit of the background. Nobody really cares about this, but we spend a decent amount of time before we get to this part of the podcast, and so you get to work with all kinds. And I just wanted to give him a shout out because everything was exactly on point. And when he said, we were gonna chat or whatever, like I really appreciate that. So gold star to Walker.
I love my team, man. I got a
Yeah,
great team.
you
Take
do.
care.
Yeah, very cool. Well, since
I,
we're close to halftime, we're going to have you introduce your song, and then we're going to go silent. So, Colby, you and I can hit that little button that looks like a microphone so we can get a good cut after you introduce it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my name is Colby Acuff, and this is If I Were the Devil.
All right, here we go.
If I were the devil, first thing that I'd do is I'd come off like I ever gave a damn about you. I'd let you catch a peek of all your greatest desires. Then I'd watch the flames in your eyes burn like hellfire. Find all the wolves in the land, and I'd make them fight each other tooth and nail and hand to hand. Find all the sheep, make them stir up the pot, 'Cause once the wolves have killed each other, sheep are what I want. The devil walks among us, friends, I know this is true. And I don't know if he's red, and I don't know if he's blue. One thing that I know, we need to take a look around. If I were the devil, this world wouldn't be my playground. As I placed that thorny crown on my furrowed brow, well, I'd shine in all the tears of joy yelling from the crowd. I want to brainwash the parents, and I have the world. I'll be in every schoolhouse lecturing little boys and girls. The devil walks among us, friends, I know this is true. And I don't know if it's me, and I don't know if it's you. One thing that I know, we need to take a look around. If I were the devil, this world wouldn't be my playground. For my final act, tell you what it'd be. I have everyone so medicated they could never see. My glove and hooves on horned head would be hard to sky. And the best part of it all is they comply with their demise. The devil walks among us, friends, I know this is true. And I don't know if it's me, and I don't know if it's you. One thing that I know, we need to take a look around. If I were the devil, this world wouldn't be my playground. If I were the devil, this world was mine to see. Well, I'd witness all the atrocities, and it'd probably frighten me. So I'd run back home with a story to tell. I'd tell all my demon friends that I always preferred hell.
Yeah, man.
There we go. A lot of people love that song.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've listened to that.
I'm always curious how I ask it every now and then, as far as what do you, when you you got to sit there and listen to that, your song like that. What are you thinking? Are you nitpicking it apart? Does it take you back to a certain time and place and people, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things where, like that one specifically, when I was listening to it right there. So I played guitar, mandolin, and drums on that record. I actually didn't play drums on that song though. My steel player and producer did at that time. But I was thinking about the mandolin playing, and I'm like, damn, like I actually played some cool shit on the mandolin right there. I was like, how did I do that? Because I don't really play mandolin that much anymore. But yeah, every time, it's kind of like, oh man, I forgot that I did that in the recording. Like the hum, even when I hum in the middle of it, totally forgot that I did that.
Your producer had a nice little shuffle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we said we go live on the other platforms so we can get questions, and one of them was who did the whistle parts. That's stuff you only get right here. So
yeah, so the whistle parts. So I have a lot of songs that do have whistles in them. I do like to whistle, and like in Boy and a Bird Dog, I'm whistling. There's a whistle actually on a new project that I'm whistling, but that whistle actually was my old bass player. And when I had sent in kind of like a demo to my producer at the time of like, hey, this is kind of the stuff we have. You want to start working on it? I'll get there in a week. And I get there, and he had these big oohs in there where the whistles were, like ooh, ooh. and I can't remember exactly what the melody was. But I was like, it's not. I don't like the ooze. It's too like big and chorusy. It doesn't sound like evil enough a little bit. And my bass player at the time, who was a really good whistler, he whistled that, and I was like, go do that. And so then we kind of stacked it and put it in there.
So what you're saying is Andy Griffin was your bass player?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
It's a cool soundscape, for sure. So.
Yeah, it's just like I think people really enjoy anything that's human. You know, like hearing anything that's human and real, stomps, claps, whistles, yelling, group, like gang vocals, like when everyone's singing, it sounds like a lot of people in a room. Just that's like a really human interaction I find like that you can use in music.
Well, Colby, you gave us a little hint there, but sounds like you might have some new stuff coming up. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, so this new record, I just got done recording it probably a month ago, and man, this will be my 6th record in 5 years. And so and actually this will be my first independent record in 2 years. And so when I was talking to my producer about what I wanted to do for a record and kind of what we wanted to make, we've made like a country rock record, kind of southern rock record. We've made kind of like a Idaho record. I have these kind of Americana stuff. I've made like a honky-tonk record. And it just kind of was like, what do we want to do, And basically he was like, well, why don't we just go ask people what they want? I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea. And then I was like, well, what if we, interviewed people, kind of like, what does your day-to-day look like? Tell us about yourself. What is it like living here? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and then tried to like pull songs out of people in a way. So we went out and we did like a 4-day trip where we interviewed 35 people, I think, just off the street, and asked them what they wanted to hear and kind of try to get stories from them. And the thing is that, I found that everyone's the same. It's kind of the thing where, 4 of the 20 questions, every single one of them were answered 100%, 35 out of 35, exactly the same. So I started realizing like, oh my God, this whole record actually isn't about a bunch of different songs. This whole record is just about how similar everybody is. And like, everyone lives their own life, don't get me wrong. And everyone has like their own experience for what it is. But at the end of the day, like, everybody just kind of wants the same thing for themselves and from other people. Everybody wants to be treated well. Everyone's proud of themselves. Everyone, if they won the lottery, they buy a house. Their perfect day is just the day that they already live, but they get to see their family and friends. And so I started writing this concept record essentially. And it's just, about, I'm trying to make it as relatable and cathartic for people as possible. It's kind of like, sometimes life is good, sometimes life is bad, but it's all the same. It's all life. We got to get through it.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody doing that before. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Any chance we'll get those questions in the liner notes? Those 4 questions?
Yeah, if I could find them, I
Yeah,
might be
yeah.
able to send them
It'd be
over.
interesting to see, I think. Or I
Yeah.
would think it would be interesting, but maybe
Yeah,
not.
let me see if I
That
can
would
find
probably
it.
not be the in your test market, but yeah.
I mean, all the questions are like very straightforward,
Yeah, that's cool. I joined this podcast, Colby, so we could talk sports, and I soon found out that nobody wants to talk sports. But tonight, I think we're going to talk a little bit of sports. So,
Okay.
Beautiful.
from what I understand, you're a Vandal grad or
Mm-hmm.
Idaho Vandal.
Yes,
Yep.
sir. Yeah.
So, got a good football team out there. That's exciting.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it takes a while. But the thing I found out most about is you're a pretty big Packers fan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So how did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, I get this question all the time. Living out
Okay.
west,
Sorry.
man, especially no, living in Idaho, you just pick a team.
Yeah.
You don't have a
Understand.
team.
Broncos or somebody else,
They
right?
got to get all the game. No, I mean, mostly I'd say in northern Idaho,
Seattle.
Seattle is kind of your standard fair fan, which I wouldn't say that. So when I was a kid, I grew up in like the Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander era,
Yeah.
which I liked that team. And Mike Holmgren was the coach, and I was in on that, and I liked the Packers already. The Packers were number one forever since I was 5 years old.
Very
I
cool.
watched Brett Favre play in the snow, and I was like, "Let's go." That's down the street for me, even though it wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
But when Pete Carroll went over there after like the USC debacle and everything, I absolutely no go for me, and so ended up kind of the Legion of Boom and all that stuff. Not a big fan of that whole situation. Besides Marshawn Lynch, I like him, but
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody loves Marshawn.
yeah, not a big Pete Carroll guy. I feel like Reggie Bush deserves justice for what happened, and
Sure.
Pete Carroll got a pay raise.
He just
We
got
just
out on,
we just
on
need a
the
promo
last train out of town.
we just
Yeah.
need a promo of Colby saying that he's just here so he don't get fined.
Yeah, don't clip this to say that I'm not a Pete Rose. No, or not Pete Rose. Sorry, Pete Carroll.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that leads me to a question: are you a Favre or Rodgers guy?
Favre,
Favre. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. How? I assume that you've been to Lambeau.
Mm-hmm. We
Okay.
went last year. I love the team they have right now, man. I don't.
Yeah, they're
Some of the
fun.
decisions that they're making, I'm kind of in and out on. We need a receiver. We need a line always. But I do feel like, I
Moving
think if we do it right, we got a good enough team. We can go in and maybe make it past the first round of the playoffs for once. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay. And what about baseball, basketball? Where do you fall there?
Baseball, pretty hardcore Mariners fan.
Okay.
Also, for the majority of my life, because of this is same thing. I rooted for the Red Sox for a long time as well.
Okay.
The new Red Sox team isn't my favorite, but always been a Mariners guy.
That was the,
Basketball, college is the only thing that matters to me, so I watch a lot of Gonzaga basketball.
Oh, nice.
Hockey, I like the Kraken now because they're
Okay.
there. So yeah, and I'm a big sports guy. I mean, I'm in it full time.
that would have
Very
been
cool.
the Ichiro years, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yep. I watched Ichiro play like 8 or 9 times.
Got in person. That's
Yeah.
cool, man. I think
He's amazing.
I think as time has went, I think he gets overlooked a little bit, but
For sure. Yeah, Seattle always does in a way. I mean, they're just
understood. Well, I want to back up a little bit, because I mean, part of what we like to do is to show people, the not as glamorous side of music or whatever. But when you were talking about, you were going from those van shows and everything, and then you hit the Luke Combs tour. One, kind of give it. I was going to ask this earlier. Explain to folks what it means for you to get ready for a tour, something like that, as far as your equipment and things that, to go from a bar gig to play something like that.
Well, the
I
good
guess we
news.
don't think about stuff like that.
Well, no, I mean, and who would? But it's like it'd be like if you had just bought a bunch of baseball gear for beer league, and then they're
Okay,
like, "Hey, I
I
need
got
you
you.
to come take an at bat for the Yankees this year.
I
What do you
got
think
you.
about that?" And you're like, I kind of need some stuff first. But yeah, it's thank goodness my production manager is also my keys player, and he's always like, "Yo, we got to be up to date on all this stuff." So we pretty much we already had a system that would have worked. So we were like capable.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we had to upgrade our in-ears rack because for our in-ear monitors, there's just so much more signal when you have 5 bands and you're in a
Yeah.
downtown of a massive city every Saturday. And so basically the way I thought about it was we're just going to upgrade early, and we're just going to rock and roll with what we have. And getting ready for those sets really was just like, hey, we're the first ones out there. We gotta get them going. We gotta get them captivated. We have 25 minutes, I think is what it was. And in my mind, it's like we had 25 minutes to
Make new.
blow everyone away. So
And speaking of that, you were on that. I mean, I know you were doing pretty well on Spotify and the stream platforms and socials and stuff anyway. But could you see? I mean, you're pretty involved. You and your team are pretty involved in socials and everything. Could you see those numbers from one show in that in front of that many people? Could you see the difference the next day or two?
What I saw a difference in was our ticket sales.
Okay,
Our ticket sales, that helped our ticket sales a ton. And we had people show up because they just got a little taste of us at the Luke show.
that's cool.
And so then people would they'd be sitting in the audience and be like, where is he going to be this year that we can go watch a full show?
That's great.
And so then we'd see those tickets sell more and more and more. So, I mean, like, I think as far as like followers, I mean, obviously followers went up and like people were posting about it and it was great. But the tickets is, to me, also, as you guys know, it's one of the biggest factors of how to run this business.
Right.
The touring business side it's so expensive, and it ain't getting any cheaper anytime soon. I can tell you that much. So yeah, I mean, the ticket sales went up, and that was great.
Yeah, that's cool because, like you said, you can see the socials numbers, but the real feet on the
Ears and
ground thing
seats.
is when they start coming to your shows, and I'm sure you probably had people that met you at the merch table that told you so.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. 100%.
Well, Colby, do you have anybody in the maybe outside of your team in the industry, so to speak, that I don't know that you go to for maybe some unbiased advice from time to time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd like to say that I try to bounce stuff off of people as much as possible. I do use my team a lot, but I mean, I'm with my band. By the way, my band that I have right now is the same band that I was playing those honky-tonks with back in Idaho.
That's
That
cool.
says a
I've
lot.
had this band
Hmm.
for a long time, and we are family, you know. And so if there's whatever's happening, I'm always really transparent with the guys. If something is like not right, I tell them like, hey, something's, just letting you guys know I'm working. We're the most band artist group maybe in Nashville. I wanted to be a band so bad when I was a kid, but being in a band is a pain in the ass. It's just the reality. I tried to have 4 or 5 bands, and they just never really worked out. So I said, I'm never doing it again. I'm just slapping my name on this thing. I tried.
Right.
It's just not the move.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I bounce things off my producer, obviously other artists. I mean, we're really close with Flatland, 49 Winchester, um, really close with Charles Wesley Godwin, like all those
Yeah.
guys,
Great
Caitlin Butts
groups.
as well. Love Caitlin. I feel very comfortable reaching out to these people who have been in it a little longer than me, and bounce stuff off. And I think a lot of the times I would say Chuck is kind of the guy, I guess, that I really find a lot in just because he's been in it a little bit longer.
Right.
And he always has a good way of being like, dude, it's like you're getting way ahead of yourself, or like you just need to think about what you have. And, he's always really good at bringing me kind of back down.
You touched a little bit on kind of the versatility of your music, and anybody who takes time to go through and I mean, hopefully everybody on here goes and takes time to listen to your music, but um, I like how I don't want to say experiment with sounds, but you use a lot of different kinds of sounds.
Hmm.
Tell me how that translates into a live show, or maybe even better, somebody who hasn't seen you live. How would you kind of describe what your live show is like?
I mean, it's pretty like as far as the sounds go, when we were pushing the envelope in the studio, we try to just do exactly that, I guess, live as well, but not, we're not playing to tape or anything.
Right.
So my thing is one way that I can always make sure, in my personal opinion, to make sure that the show is really exciting, is it's live. Um, we don't even have a click track.
Yeah,
Um, and
I,
we
li-
tried not to
I
really
like
use a
that.
click track even like
We
in the
both like that.
stadiums, which is really hard to do because
Yeah.
we ended up having to kind of do it just because with how boomy it is when you're out on the thrust. But for the most part, like, yeah, I mean, so I always say this, if we mess up, you get to hear it.
Right.
There is no savior there. And if we absolutely crush it, congrats. That was, that was the plan.
Yeah.
But cool. It's 100% live, and anything that can happen will happen, and anything, it's up to whatever. And but as far as the sounds go, yeah, man. I mean, I think we play them how we see them translated into a live show. Is what I would say.
Cool. Well, if you haven't made it out to a Colby Acuff show, then that's on you because he's out and about. So,
well, I would like to. I'm in the Memphis area, so I'll definitely see you at some point. But speaking of that, you mentioned Flatland. A little side story. We're going to see them. I'm going to sit down with the Water Blue guys on Thursday, and they're out with Flatland.
Yeah.
So after talking to them and everything, I've got the email confirming it all today, and then so I text my daughter and I'm like, "Hey, you want to go see Flatland?" Which she's a huge fan, and she says, "This better not be an April Fool's joke."
There you go.
I was like, "Well, if it is, we're both getting.
Yeah, exactly.
We're both getting played on this one." So
we posted on one of our sites today that Kendrick Lamar was coming out next week, and I can't believe how many people are gullible.
Yeah. April Fool's seems to get a lot of people. They buy it.
Well, I'm cynical. I don't believe anything on the internet anymore. So
yeah,
believe it all. It's way more fun.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna Colby, if it's okay, we're gonna go to the rapid fire and have some fun with that, and then we have one really important question to finish with.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. All right, I know the answer to that one. Dinner with one historical figure.
Ooh. If I could have dinner with one historical figure, I mean, it's got to go way back because I want to know. Mine would either be like Julius Caesar or
way back, yeah.
Yeah, like way back. Or like Cleopatra. That'd be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in on that.
All right, good answer. Educated answer too. Let's see here. This one, because you've seen probably some not great ones, and then you've probably seen some pretty cool ones, but your ideal green room, what does that look like?
Oh, God. The best or the worst?
The best.
My ideal green room is just a spot that has a toilet that works good.
Clean.
It's like somewhat private. A fridge with our writer in it. Like not much. Enough space to put 8 guys and all their shit in a room is ideal. We're so easygoing and so flexible, but my God, I have been in some tough ones. We had one green room had a soda machine in it, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I like that.
Nice. Yeah. Anything cool on your rider?
Not really. It's pretty basic. I mean, I have a Logazins on it that I like.
Oh, there you go.
And it's just like meat tray, veggie tray, 30 rack of beer, and Topo Chico.
There you go. Good answer. All right, this is I think my favorite one to ask, but what's the most underloved song in your catalog? What's one that you love that doesn't get the attention that it should?
Yeah, I mean, I always have this one racked up.
Oh.
It's 2. It's either Tip Jar or it's Through My Window Pane. Those 2 songs, I love those 2 songs, and they just don't get enough love, but they're great.
All right, fair enough. Mine for you, because I'm sure you were thinking about, gee, I wonder what Steve's is Rolling with the Wind. I love that song.
Which song? Sorry.
Rolling with the Wind is my favorite.
Yeah. That's another one. That's in a right third spot.
It's like 2B, probably.
I love that song.
Yeah. All right, cool. Curious what you see when you play.
Man. when I'm up on stage, sometimes I'm like, the problem is you never want to think about what you're doing. Start thinking about what you're doing, you're going to forget what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So all I'm trying to do is just have the most meaningful interaction with the crowd while also not, thinking about the song or anything at all. So I could be thinking about a grocery list, or I could be thinking about what the hell that guy's doing in the third row. But my fans they're really rowdy, but they're really respectful and kind people.
Good combo.
So I've always had good crowds. Yeah.
You've played some really kick-ass venues. So this one is probably going to be a little bit tricky, but what's left on your bucket list venue?
What is left? I'm kind of going the other way now. Like there's some clubs I still want to play. I want to play George's in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
That's a good one.
I really want to play the Gorge out in Washington. I just grew up going to the Gorge a ton. It's like it's like the Red Rocks of,
Sure.
It's just way bigger. But I really want to play the Gorge. I'm sure there's a few I'm forgetting, but there are a few left. But yeah, we've been really lucky to check a lot off the list.
Yeah, Red Rocks and the Opry.
Ryman,
yeah,
stadiums,
for sure.
Done it all.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, one fictional character that you would like to be friends with.
That's a new one.
It is new. It just
I like
added
it,
that one
though.
in this week.
It's not that I'm not thinking of one. I'm thinking of a lot right now.
Yeah, no, that's how it works.
I don't know. I mean, I'd love to say SpongeBob SquarePants, but I just feel like he'd get old after a couple days. You know, something
Yeah, probably.
something about it just makes me feel like I'm not going to be a good Patrick.
Right.
Well, that's a fair answer. All right, last one I have for you.
Okay.
Tribute bands, yay or nay?
Nay.
Nay. All right, solid no on that.
Yeah.
All right then. Everybody, I know that Colby's got great Spotify followers and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But if you're new to Colby, make sure you go give him a listen on all of his platforms. Go see a show. We found out earlier that is where the rubber really hits the road for all artists, especially independent artists. Go see shows, buy merch, go interact, go say hey, get a picture taken, stuff like that. That means the world to folks. So, all right, Colby. This started out as a joke on episode 1, and you're actually going to be our 100th episode that we're going to have posted.
Shout out to 100 episodes.
Yeah, that's right. So, Colby, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack?
Ooh, I love this question.
Okay.
This is great, man. Now this is like, I'm way in deep on these. I think, man, this is so tough. I mean, if I just had to have one the rest of my life, it's got to be the oatmeal cream pie. Got to be.
My guy.
Okay.
There's so many I could go back and forth on, but that one's just that's kind of forever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're Team Steve there.
Yep. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support. Little Debbie, I hope you hear us. And
right.
Thank you all tonight for joining. Special thanks to Colby for taking time to hang with us.
Mm-hmm.
And come see us tomorrow. It'll be fun. 8 p.m. Central Time.
Okay.
All right. See y'all.
Thanks again, guys, for having me on.
Thank you, Colby.
Mm-hmm.